Dale Jr. is going to drive the number 3 at North Wilkesboro. Hendrick Motorsports talks about the Kyle Larson crash. Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski have some interesting comments. Austin Hill is going to make his Cup Series debut for RCR. And we'll talk a little bit about Ace Speedway. Packed show. Let's talk about it. Coming up next. What is going on, everybody? Hope you are doing good today. All right, Dale Jr. is going to drive the Sundrop number 3 at North Wilkesboro Speedway in the late model division. This is a throwback to 1993 when he ran that car, and that race will take place on a Wednesday night, August 31st. They're doing it on a Wednesday night, obviously, because he has to call the Cup Series race. So they have sort of made accommodations to get him in there, and they're selling some really cool merchandise at JRM, NASCAR.com, wherever you want to get your merchandise from if you want to pick it up. But if you're wondering what the car looks like, it is a throwback to this unit right here. Pretty sweet ride. It was Alumina back then. Of course, obviously, this time it will be a Camaro. So if you want to pick that stuff up, pick it up. I've already actually picked up 2 t-shirts myself because, I need more t-shirts, obviously. Hendrick Motorsports has come out and said there was no mechanical failure on the 5 car, so it's either driver error, which the way that happened, there's no possible way it was driver error, or in my opinion, the brake fluid got too hot and he didn't have pedal, and then he had pedal when it cooled off as he was charging in to the 42 car. So in my opinion, I think it was probably brake fluid, not an actual mechanical failure. But it is what it is. As the week goes on, they will probably talk about that more. Kyle Larson will probably come out and make a statement about what happened. So we will look forward to that. But Hendrick Motorsports said it was not mechanical failure, so a lot of people have just jumped on and assumed it was driver failure. I personally am leaning toward the brake fluid got too hot, because obviously in that race you saw Chase Elliott complained about some brake problems as well. So I think it was a Hendrick Motorsports design issue where the brake fluid wasn't quite getting enough air to cool it off. Joey Logano came out on his weekly show on NASCAR.com and said, in his opinion, Ross Chastain finished second because he didn't do anything wrong, which has stirred up some controversy, sort of kicked the hornet's nest there. He's basically said, according to NASCAR's own rules, Ross Chastain didn't do anything outside of the rules, and that every driver saw what Austin Dillon did in the Xfinity race, and every driver and every team had talked about that situation and had a game plan in place in case they went 5 wide in front of them. So in his opinion, Ross Chastain shouldn't have been penalized, and NASCAR basically broke its own rule by putting that 30-second penalty on Ross Chastain. So those are Joey Logano's thoughts on it. This has been a polarizing issue. I personally, just because Ross Chastain didn't win, I don't think he necessarily, by letter of the law, broke the rule. But also, that move was kind of BS, right? But if it wasn't against the rules, even though that move was BS, he technically shouldn't have been penalized if it wasn't against the rules. But everybody has their opinion on it. That's just my opinion on it. But I am glad Tyler Reddick won because he had the fastest car all day. And when a guy has the fastest car and has a race like that, you kind of want to see him win. But Ross Chastain definitely made it interesting. And what an aggressive move. That guy, he's good for the sport. He just keeps it interesting. And during the live stream last night, a bunch of you guys told me that Brad Keselowski came out and said that their NASCAR needs to make more penalties. That he came out and said after the penalty they got at the beginning of the season, he went through and told his entire organization that they do not need to modify the parts anymore, and that did not go over well within the organization because it was a culture change. So shout out to you guys for actually getting me that information last night. That was really cool. I actually hadn't heard that, but it does raise the question, Brad Keselowski has a good point. NASCAR should penalize more cars, and they should penalize them more heavily because the overall goal of this rule was to have an even playing field for everybody to keep the cost down. So basically, whenever NASCAR finds an infraction, they need to throw the book at everybody to stop the previous culture of it's not cheating if you don't get caught, and bring it into this new culture of, hey, if you do the least little bit of thing, if you change this car in any way, shape, or form, whether it's helping it or not, you're going to get the book thrown at you. I think that would eliminate a great deal of the cheating. There's always going to be some guy that wants to think he's smarter than everybody else and he's going to get around it, and he will probably get around it for a while, but when you get caught, you're going to get hit with a big penalty. So is it worth it? So I think Brad Keselowski has a good point here, but let me know down in the comments below what you think about Brad Keselowski's opinion on this situation. All right, and to wrap it up, Austin Hill will be making his first start in the NASCAR Cup Series for RCR. He will drive the number 3 Bennett Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 at Michigan this weekend, so he'll be pulling double duty, and that'll be cool to see. Possibly they're testing out the waters to see if he's going to be the guy that replaces Tyler Reddick, so that'll be an interesting story to follow going forward. And Ace Speedway has won its appeal with North Carolina. The court system or whatever. They are able to press charges against the state of North Carolina for everything that's going on when we were kept inside of our houses, right? So going forward, I don't cover politics, but this, because it directly involves a race car, a racetrack, Ace Speedway is basically going to be, I guess, ground zero for all of the everything that was going on situation. I do know Jason Turner, and I reached out to Jason Turner, and this was the response he gave me.
At this time, we have no comment. All questions and concerns must be handled through our attorneys.
So thanks for that, Jason. Thanks for that, Ace Lawyers. I hate you. Just kidding. The Ace Lawyers, they're doing what's right by them. So, but this will be an interesting story to follow. I'm not going to follow necessarily the political part of it, but if you're into politics, I guess tweet it out. Find that story and tweet it out to your YouTubers that do politics, because that's not my jam. But I will follow the racing side of it and see what happens from there. And thanks, Jason, for the response, even though it wasn't much of a response. I appreciate that guy. No, I'm friends with Jason, so that's cool. I appreciate him. All right, that's all I got for you today. If you like the content, feel free to subscribe down below. It helps out the channel a whole lot, and I really appreciate it. If you got a comment or question, leave it down in the comment section. And other than that, thanks for your time. Peace.